people, for the Postal Service to catch on?
5 days.
5 days, and let's see how far I can push you here. How many pieces of mail how many people were using it after 5 days?
4 million. 5 million?
4 million, 5 million? See, my notes are wrong. I wrote down 40 million. What was it, 4 million? Yeah, okay. So that's odd, that's interesting that many of you remembered it. Michelle, you must have done something right there in how you delivered it. All right, cool. Cool one, that's interesting, yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Walters.
I'm Max.
Max and I are here today to talk to you guys and bring you into the concussion discussion in organized sports, more specifically football. From youth leagues to the NFL, we've seen a recent rise in the amount of concussions. Myself, I played 6 years of contact football, 4 of those were in high school, and I sustained my first concussion my freshman year. By my senior year, I'd had 3 diagnosed concussions. So I saw a lot of negative effects. For one, I had memory loss. 2, I was depressed for months. Yeah, it was interesting. But what I didn't realize at the time was there's an exponential increase after you get your first concussion. So after your first one, you're twice as likely to get your second. And after your second, you're twice as likely to get your third. Now, I wouldn't take it back, but it does make me wonder what long-term effects I sustained from playing the game of football.
From Joe's experience, you saw the short-term effects. You really have to look to the NFL today in order to find the long-term effects. The quarterback has the best memory in football. He has to know the plays, he has to know all the offenses, all the defenses. But even here, you can get examples of concussions. Brett Favre most recently came out in an article about his opinions on concussions. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's played for 20 plus years. He's got his bell rung more than once. He couldn't remember his own daughter's soccer games. For one entire summer, he completely forgot them. This made him worry where his memory was going to be in 10 to 15 years. He was scared. But memory loss isn't the only problem. Depression is also widespread in the NFL. So much so that people even commit suicide. From the youth leagues to the NFL, we need to be aware of the repercussions of the concussion discussion.
All right, what do we have here? Things that worked, things that didn't.
I liked repercussions of the concussion discussion. I thought that was very good.
Yeah, it had a nice rhythm to it, nice, memorable phrase there. What else? Was there one moment where you suddenly felt more interested than you had before that moment?
When he gave his personal experience with it.
When he did what?
When he gave his personal experience with it.
Yeah, I can always remember the phrase when he suddenly said something like, I sustained my first concussion, high school or something. I was suddenly kind of, I'm sitting here writing notes, and I'm thinking about the class and, I'm doing whatever I'm doing here. Suddenly when he said, I sustained my first concussion, I looked up, okay? That's the value of that personal moment, going personal, going inside and mixing it in with a broader discussion about discussions. He made it personal. He told us why he would care about it, and as a result, why we cared about it. That was expertly done there, Joseph. Anything else? Anybody else remember one other thing about his story that you particularly remember?
The part where we started getting into depression.
Yeah, depressed for a month. That hit me. How about the rest of you? Any of the rest of you? Yeah, it's just fascinating how that takes an issue and a speech and turn it into a personal story and something we care about. One thing Madeline and Kelsey, I was having trouble before articulating what it was I want your next step to be. Joseph's a pretty good example of where I'd like to get you to. That level of sort of open authenticity and connection with what he was saying. To me, he didn't seem detached at all. He was like laying it all on us. You know, I got in this thing, I had these concussions, here's what happened. This is why it's real. Watch his video as well as you guys's and see if you can tell what I'm getting at and see if he can get you help there. Okay? Okay. Very nice stuff, both of you guys. Max, watch your dropping your voice at the end. Okay, watch your dropping voice. And I think you're a powerful character. Throw your voice, man. Fill up the room. I think you've got tremendous untapped potential to command the room.
Tap it.
Huh?
I'll try to tap it.
Seriously, tap it. I'm serious. You got a lot of potential there. Watch. Boom it up. Take control of this room. I think you can. Okay, really neat. Really neat. Yeah. You know, guys, I did a story once about repeated concussion syndrome. It's about probably 10 years ago. It's about that point that once you have your first concussion, they were in those days rushing the kids right out onto the football field the next week, and these kids would get a second concussion, and it was a really bad one, and these kids were like permanently disabled as a result. And it's changed the way a lot of high schools treat concussion now. High schools and college treat concussion now. Yeah, it's a big subject, serious subject. All right, guys.
Okay, I'm Taylor Froland.
I'm Aaron Vanderwall.
When I came to college, it was my first time being financially independent from my parents. I had my job, and I had to balance that with the cost of housing and the other social expenses that come with college. I chose to do this with Wells Fargo. I opened a checking, savings, and online banking account with them. I did this because they simply promised me no hidden fees. I've been with them for close to 3 years now. I've not read a single letter of fine print, and I have paid not a cent of hidden fees. Now, I thought this was how banks did business. I thought this was normal. And as Aaron is about to describe to you, I thought wrong.
I actually came into college banking with Bank of America. I don't know how many of you guys have Bank of America, but as I started to monitor my bank account a little bit more, I started to notice that each month they were taking $10 out of my account. $10 each month. I calculated it, and Bank of America has taken over $400 from me in monthly maintenance fees. Now, I called customer service trying to get these fees off my account, and they wouldn't take the fees off my account, let alone were able to tell me what these fees were even for. So I actually switched to Wells Fargo last weekend, and I have the exact same portfolio that I had at Bank of America, a checking account, savings account, and online services. And as long as I deposit $25 each month into my account, there are no fees. So in the end, it's really bank with Bank of America and have fees, or Wells Fargo and without. There wasn't even really a choice.
That's really interesting because I think they both stink. But that's my own personal. I got into it with Bank of America last week, and they transferred me like 5 times. Once to Costa Rica, once to Mexico, and then the 3 other places in the U.S. And none of them could solve the problem I had. I guess that's a red herring. What'd you see there about that presentation? That worked? Rachel?
I thought that, I don't remember either of your names, I'm sorry.
Aaron.
And, okay, I thought that Taylor's setup of like his story, and then you can kind of see the decline into we're about to have some sort of really dramatic example, like that kind of took my interest, like when he's like, I thought wrong. It's like,
Right.
oh, what's about to happen? So good job with that.
And you just said, I thought wrong. You didn't just say that by accident. He said, I thought wrong. We remember that, right? And he also said, what other phrases did he really highlight and isolate? Yeah?
Well, he took his time at the end saying, I thought that this was how banking was done. I thought that was typical. I just like the lead up to that. He
Yeah.
slowed down.
And what is it that he said was really good about Wells Fargo? They have no hidden fees. Yeah, you guys remember that, okay? You know, you'll be a good pitchman someday. You know, you're gonna go to work for Wells Fargo. I mean, you hit it in a way that the audience here remembers that Wells Fargo had no hidden fees. By the way, I got a friend who's got his college loan with Wells Fargo, and he's got a bunch of hidden fees. But that's a whole other thing. I thought you did a really nice job of isolating statements, hitting statements so that they were memorable. Very authentic, both of you. Very authentic. The only other thing I wrote down here is in terms of improvement. Aaron, changing up your delivery a little bit. Watch your tape. Your pace is fine. Your volume is fine, but it's pretty much the same pace and the same volume throughout. Look for opportunities to break it up, to make some moments stand out the way Taylor made a few of these moments stand out, like we're talking about. Watch your tape and see it. See if you can go back and think about what you would do again after you watch the tape that would make a particular moment or two stand out from everything else. And that'll get you up to your next level, I think. Good. That's very good. Yeah. Very excited to see what this class does by the time you're done. You're just starting out at a very sophisticated level.
I'm Will. I'm Brian. And we're going to talk to you about gutter oil. Gutter oil. A substance that symbolizes the food safety problems in the world's most populated country in the world. It makes up 1/10 of all cooking oil used in China. Gutter oil is the result of enterprising men and women who dig through the sludge of both garbage cans, dumpsters, gutters, and even sewers to extract the oils and food wastes in order to make it into refined oils to sell to vendors and restaurants as cooking oil. Chinese cooking uses an extraordinary amount of cooking oil in the cuisine, and this business has actually turned into a multi-million-dollar business. So does this sound appetizing? Because unless you like your dim sum with the side of cancer, I wouldn't suggest trying this at home. In fact, cooking oil has been found to contain several known carcinogens, including aflatoxin and benzopyrene.
It smelled like rotting flesh. The stench assailed the nostrils until you wrenched, and then your head ached. That's a quote from a Chinese woman living near an illegal refining facility in Shanghai. The problem exists, but what are the solutions? Currently in Shanghai, there's a new regulation system put in place. It's a three-step approach. One, requiring restaurants to collect and save this waste oil. Two, approved government agencies come and collect this waste oil. And three, the government will actually pay these restaurants instead of charging them a disposable fee. So what this is doing is incentivizing these restaurants and street vendors from the black market and moving them into the green market. And by green market, I mean biofuels. Many companies such as Boeing in China are actually putting these biofuels in the bellies of their aircraft rather than the bellies of these citizens. Thank you.
What'd you see there?
I think it was a very serious subject, and I liked the side of cancer, but at the same time, it almost took away from the seriousness of it a little bit.
That was kind of the goal. Just lighten it a little bit.
No, that's interesting. You're lightening the mood. Now, is that a moment to lighten? Did he need to lighten the mood? Show of hands. How many of you thought that that he needed to lighten the mood?
I don't know that he needed it, but it worked.
It worked. How many of you did not think he needed to lighten the mood? We got kind of a split there. I agree with you that the cancer comment was just a little bit, it took something that, frankly, I was really pulled into the beginning of your speech. Okay, when you started telling that story, I was like, wow, that is something I've never heard before. It's scary, it's disgusting, it's probably fixable, and it was important. And I didn't need it to go any lighter. Now, you know your audience a little differently than I do. You're talking to students at the time of day when there's an afternoon slump. You know, maybe you needed to loosen them up a little bit. That's got to be your call as the speaker. But me, myself, I didn't need it, and I kind of reacted a little bit the same way Christine did. It's like, geez, you're going through all this work to make this thing sound important, and then you're making a joke about it. It's like, yeesh, you don't need to do that. So that's just one of those calls to make. Now, that having been said, you set it up just beautifully. With reverence, you didn't rush through anything. It sounded like you were talking to me about something I didn't know, something you cared about. You had a proper pace. You